From the shores of Malibu where the waves are pumping, to the Great Wall of China and back to the streets of Las Vegas where the UFC is happening. We are live. This is It's Time Radio, the show where we talk about what you think about but may be afraid to voice. Do not worry. As usual, we will voice it for you. We talk about everything on It's Time. COVID-19, President Trump, politics, film, sex, drugs, rock and roll, and UFC, and so much more. Lots to talk about today, coming off the big show, UFC 255 last weekend. I'm here with my co-host and producer, TJ DeSantis. TJ, how are you?
I'm good, Buff. How are you?
Really good, really good. I'm feeling incredible, actually. I'm looking forward to a wonderful Thanksgiving. Of course, COVID safe, small gatherings. We'll talk about all that on the show, get that down right. But I'm very thankful for a lot of things, and I'm looking forward to saying thank you, thank you, thank you to everybody I'm thankful to this week. With that being said, I'm thankful to have one of my best friends in life and business associates, a man who's an aficionado of boxing, used to be the owner of maxboxing.com, one of the original boxing sites that told it all when it came to the great sport of boxing. Also the owner and runner of socialunderground.com. And that is a fantastic news site we all enjoy here at It's Time Radio. None other than Gary Randall. We're bringing Gary on to talk about the Mike Tyson-Roy Jones fight happening this weekend, talk some USC, talk some life, talk some COVID, talk some holiday season upcoming. Gary, how are you?
I'm good, Bruce and TJ. Bruce, thanks for the intro, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, you got it. You got it, bro. That's why they pay me the big bucks, at least sometimes. Okay, it's all good. Hey, Gary, what are you driving in the Maybach, huh? You got my car over there. What's up?
This is my new quarantine mobile office.
Love it. Great office. Very.
Wait, are you really in a car right now, or is that just the background?
No, dude, this is my Zoom background.
Okay. I mean, I didn't know.
The man's a man of many
It's
Zoom
a good one, though,
faces.
right?
Yeah, it's a real good one.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it looks pretty spot on. Like, if you would have told me you're actually in that car, I would have believed you.
I like it. I like it. All right, guys, we came off. Let's go right into the UFC. I love the show this weekend. The fact of two flyweight championships, Cody Garbrandt, of course, backing out. But no, excuse me, Alex Perez came in taking over for who was he? Who was the one that he took over for? Please, TJ. Am I correct in this?
Cody Garbrandt. Yeah, you had it right the first time.
Yeah, Cody Garbrandt, who I just read this morning, aside from the torn bicep, had COVID-19.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was on. I was reading. I think it was on mixedmartialarts.com. He was bringing out about the fact that he had it, still suffering, if I read correctly, issues beyond getting over it.
Yeah,
that are preventing him from training. So it wasn't just the torn bicep. There was more involved here.
I mean, we talked to Dr. Davidson about that 2 weeks ago at this point now, where, man, it affects so many people just different ways. Like,
yeah, totally different
stuff. I mean, even, world-class athletes are susceptible to getting sidelined for much longer than significantly, unhealthier people. You know what I mean? You expect these athletes that are in top physical condition to be able to get past this quickly, and it's really a crapshoot for everybody, guys.
It's different for everybody, and we talked about past on the show that there were some college basketball athletes suffering from enlarged hearts as a result of this.
Terrifying.
Actually end their career.
I was talking to a doctor recently who was an infectious disease specialist. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but the receptors in our body that actually take the molecule of COVID-19 and unfortunately process it through the body, there are certain parts of your brain that will take that, and they've actually seen some signs of dementia in people that have gotten COVID-19. And we're not talking about just older people. We're talking about significantly younger people. And I actually was talking to this gentleman about how some people that have been affected with COVID, they have some memory problems, but they're also cannabis users, and they blame their short-term memory issues based on their usage of cannabis. And it's like, well, funny short-term memory problems because you like weed a little too much, but it might be more than that. And I think that's something that people really need to be aware of if they are afflicted with COVID-19.
Well, the jury's out, and while we're on the subject of COVID-19, we'll go back to the UFC in a second. Let's go into some COVID-19 talk, because right now what's happening here in Los Angeles and California, as we know, is that the state is now on a curfew.
What does that mean, though?
This is what I wanted to ask you guys about, because we're still in stage one, although we're told that on Wednesday, what I'm hearing is that we could be in total lockdown again.
What does that mean?
What that means is stay-at-home order. That means
restaurants
are closed.
That mean? Because here's my issue. The Fresno County Sheriff's Department were like, yeah, we're not going to enforce this. There were 400 people at the pier of Huntington Beach the other night in protest of the 10 p.m. curfew. They didn't do anything. The stay-at-home order just said, stay at home unless you're, necessary workers and whatnot. Well, there was no real penalty or fine for disobeying it. I understand. We all need to acknowledge the order and do right by it. Otherwise, we're never going to get over things. But at the same time, unless there's a strict punishment, Bruce, you can say we're on total lockdown. If there's no penalty, we're not on total lockdown.
Well, I remember penalties were being handed out before, here in my area, in Manhattan Beach area, pretty stiff penalties for doing whatever. So, local
but it's
county,
not a law, Bruce.
I
It's
understand.
like a ticket.
I understand what you're saying, but you know what?
I don't even think it's that.
I don't think it is either. I think it's
No.
beyond toothless.
Well,
I wouldn't say toothless, TJ, because I do think that if the order comes out and it's supposed to mimic, let's say, where we were in March,
right,
then you're going to end up with another situation where all the small mom and pop businesses that's where there's going to be an order. That's where there'll be a consequence if they stay open. And
sure.
Unfortunately, that's what's putting all of those small businesses out of business. They're not going to be able to last through another lockdown or another version of what March looked like. So I don't think it's going to be exactly the same. I do think they're going to be a lot more, they're going to let a lot more of those small businesses try and stay open. And I think it just depends on how the numbers end up looking up. But as far as enforcing it goes, I don't see them getting away with too much.
And that's my problem. If you're not going to enforce it, I just don't know how real it is. And I mean,
it's real to the point that it's real and it's declared. It's not enforceable unless it's enforced. I read this one statement that said out of the 50-some counties in California or whatever, it was said that only 41 are going to follow it. So obviously you're going to have individuals that are going to not follow it. Okay.
But again, what is the penalty for not following it? Because to really implement a curfew like that, guys, where you are held to task for violating it, it needs to be a law, and a law needs to be passed. And I don't know if you noticed this, but our politicians, they don't agree and get along with anything.
Oh, gee, really? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, like, even if something needed to be done, like short of martial law, guys, which is not going to happen, I don't think that there's ever going to be a real lockdown.
Well, I think the consequence of not following this, if you really want to get down to the brass tacks,
I agree.
Wait, I didn't finish. Is
No,
getting COVID. That's the consequence.
Agree, Bruce.
That's it.
That's the thing. I agree with you. But the problem with all of that being said is it's not like, what is the point of even issuing these mandates if there's no real repercussions for violating them?
Public perception scare. I don't know.
But it doesn't work.
The best.
It doesn't work.
Well, it'll work. It'll work to a point.
It works with a certain percentage.
It will work.
Yeah.
It will work. Yes, it will work. It will work.
But this is something that we're not going to get over if only a certain percentage follow it. And that's why we're still here.
Well, granted,
we're going to last until the vaccine.
We're going to, the vaccine.
If you don't get it, you're lucky. If you get it, you get it, and you have to deal with it. But I think it ultimately comes down to your personal, either inner circle or view of the entire cause and effect of the pandemic. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I stay within my bubble, but anything I try and go out and buy or do, I'm trying to do it with small businesses because they're the ones that are going to be affected. The big banks, everyone that can work remote and have their companies just run. Hey, that's their thing. But mom and pop shops that are feeding people, and I'm going there and I'm picking it up, man. I'm not ordering through DoorDash. I'm not doing Grubhub. I'm trying to give them like my full business so they can, try and hit their profit margin.
Well, that's a problem. I noticed there are some class action lawsuits with the third-party food services like Grubhub and DoorDash because of their gouging. And that's really like, I like what you're saying, Gary, because, the companies that don't really need our service and help, they're profiting like crazy. Like, look at Amazon's evaluation. It's gone through the friggin' roof. But, your local pizzeria down the street, sure, maybe they offer a delivery service through DoorDash, but they're getting a fraction of what they could be getting if you're willing to walk in there. And talking about the mandates and whatnot, you're absolutely right. The real penalties for all of this, for people not following it, are that these independent companies, they're just simply going to go out of business.
Well,
They're
it's
going to be
happening.
destroyed.
They're going to be destroyed. It's happening in my area too. Is with the lockdown potential here is set for Wednesday potentially. Like tonight, Chris and the kids and I are going to go out and support a local restaurant. Maybe even do it tomorrow. Just give like two more places our business, because even before the lockdowns happen, I'm seeing places just closing around me. They just can't keep open.
Right.
And then when the bad weather and the rain starts and the cold, the outside dining is not going to be the most comfortable to dine in.
It's already not comfortable once the sun goes down, guys.
Yeah,
like I'm from the Midwest. I know what cold is and I know what cold isn't. And here isn't really cold, but it's not comfortable enough to try to go eat a steak outside on a patio. When it's 55 degrees and you're sitting next to the damn heat lamp, that's the last place you want to be to try to enjoy a meal. And, that's one thing too, Bruce, that I think a lot of people don't really realize is, I have a 9-year-old son who hasn't really been social with anybody in 9 months. And
Right.
guys, I'm telling you, that has an effect on his psyche as a human being.
Well, of course
Like, I
it
understand
Absolutely.
he needs to be inside and be healthy, but it's not good for him to be
They
isolated
need it for
the way that he is.
development.
Yeah.
He's stuck at home with his mom and dad. I mean, no offense, TJ, but he's
We're not
he's
that
9
cool.
and he's with old people.
We're
That's
not
right.
that
He's with old
cool.
people all the time.
Hey,
He
send
needs
him over to
that
my
energy.
house. I'll give the kid an education over 2 days.
Hey, Buff, you're pretty damn cool. So, I'd make that happen. But that's the same thing too, is like, I can't let him do that because that's part of the problem. And I don't know that I just wish we were able to work towards a common goal as a group so we could get over this. Like, so my son's school basically told him, look, we're not going to have in-person education for the entire year, for the rest, like not the calendar year, like for this school year. And they made that decision last week. And I'm thinking about it. Hopefully things are resolved by next fall, because we're looking at it as the last time my son stepped in a classroom, he was in the third quarter of second grade. The next time he's in a school, he will be in fourth grade. When I think about who I was in second grade compared to who I was in fourth grade, that is a long time to not develop alongside your peers.
Well, here's a couple points to consider. We had 1,707 coronavirus deaths reported in one day in California, which was the highest daily death rate toll in 6 months. They're looking at us, and if the infection rate goes over 4,500 people a day, the closure is going to happen. Well, how it's enforced and all, we already talked about that. We'll see what happens. Then I talked to like Joe Rogan this weekend at the show, and he's telling me that in Texas, where he lives now, every place is jammed, crowded, crowds, side by side, no masks, no this, no nothing. I don't have a report on when the numbers are in Texas, but we know they're not good. So look, you either do it or you don't. If part of the population doesn't do it, it slows down the process. If a major part of the population follows the safety and protocol, we can lessen this thing. But the bottom line is right now, the biggest worry of everybody is the Thanksgiving holidays. People are traveling like crazy. Travel rates were up over the weekend like crazy. States are putting out warnings, no more gatherings of more than 3 or 4 people at home or this and the other, but it's not going to happen. Many people are going to have their Thanksgiving get-togethers. Me, it's going to be Mom, Brian, I, and maybe 2 other people.
On November 19th, the state of Texas reported 13,182 new COVID cases.
In one day?
In one day. Their spike...
That's fucked up. That's fucked up. Totally fucked up.
Their spike was on September 21st. They reported 22,276 new COVID cases in one day.
Cool. Enjoy. Go out and have fun in that restaurant. You're not getting me out there.
Let's see where they are on deaths right now. They're significantly lower on deaths. On the 18th of November, they had 193 COVID-related deaths.
Okay. Again, I'm sorry, TJ. Go ahead.
No, but going back to July 27th, they had 1,202 deaths in one day.
All right. So then a lot of people, it's always, well, the elderly, well, the uncompromised or the compromised are the ones that are going to listen. We just talked about a young fighter on the show. We just talked about Cody Garbrandt. We're seeing children get this and dying and whatever. It's not about dying, okay? It's about just getting it and the after effects and how it can affect you anyway up and down. Bottom line, I don't want to get it. Okay,
right.
I just don't want to get it. And if I get it, I'll deal with it as best I can.
On November 20th, so last Friday, the state of California reported 13,727 new cases.
Wow.
And then the next day was 8,808. That's the thing about it. It seems to like spike every other day. Like one day it'll be high, and then there's a little bit of a dip, and then the next day it's higher. And I don't know why it is that way. Maybe it's just reporting times, but it's weird.
Well,
I think we have screwed up reporting. But if
Yeah.
you want to, one recommendation to anyone, if you do use the Citizen app, they're now doing tracing on Citizen. So it's basically like, I mean, I don't know how they're actually targeting or zeroing in on people that are infected, but it will now show you if there is someone who is infected anywhere in like within a 1.4 mile radius of you.
What? How does?
Yes.
That's. I mean, I
So
think
they're doing contact tracing on Citizen. You got to check it out.
That's crazy because that
looks like.
technology I think is good, guys. But also too, it's like, how are you zoning
Gary,
in on that? Like that's crazy.
Gary, is that on the internet? Is that on the internet?
It's an app, he said.
Yeah, it's an app. So it's called Citizen. And
I'm downloading
you can't
it right
just
now.
get it through the App Store. You have to go through their website, I believe. Or maybe you can get it through the App Store now.
I'll
That's
take
right.
a
You have to, I
look.
think, go through their website to get it.
Is this something that existed before the coronavirus, Gary? Do you know?
Oh yeah. So we use Citizen to, I live in a fire heavy area, so we use Citizen to make sure that we know of any reported activities happening around us. But Citizen
Is it called?
was born.
Just go to the internet and go to citizen.com. It's right
Well,
Yeah,
is
there
it
you go,
called
TJ.
Citizen Connect and Stay? Is that what it is? Connect and Stay, something or other?
I don't know what that is.
Just go to citizen.com. It has the app right there.
Yeah, but that doesn't work on my iPhone, Bruce. You have to
Connect
be able to
and
download
stay
things from
safe.
the app. Yeah,
Connect
okay, there you
and
go.
stay safe.
That's it then. Yep.
That's
Connect
it.
so I'm downloading it right now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. While you're
Citizen's
down on
a
that,
really good app.
another couple of things that have occurred, with President Trump getting coronavirus and going around during his, pre-election day and post-election day activities. There's been 130 Secret Service officers that are said to be infected with coronavirus and being quarantined in the wake of the travel campaign that he did. So that went through that like crazy.
It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I mean,
ridiculous.
That's the thing that's sort of crazy about it. So I did an Invicta event last week, guys, and the show was on Friday. We were originally scheduled for a championship doubleheader, so championship fights in our main and co-main events. We lost both of them.
COVID?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Well, we go through that in UFC from time to time. Yep.
But I mean, like the point is normally like during this time you book a main event and a pretty strong co-main event, because if your main event falls through, at least you'll have that co-main to back up on.
Yeah.
We lost both of them.
Sucks. Did you have a good show?
Great show. Yeah, it was awesome.
That's fine. There you go. At least you had a
Have
good
there
show.
have there been any like UFC fighters or anyone in the UFC that got COVID and they have not been able to come back, or it's like somehow it's affected their career as a result?
On the record, no. Off the record, I've talked to some people that are not currently with the UFC that have had some issues where they don't think they'll fight again, but those names wouldn't jump off the page. But
that's still an example of fighters. No.
Right. And that's the thing, guys. I think that we're still, like Dr. Davidson talked about it with us, Bruce, we still don't know everything. So someone that's been affected and maybe they haven't been able to return yet, it doesn't mean that they won't be able to. Like he said, hopefully you'll just get better. But beyond that stuff, it's a waiting game. It's still like this has been a thing for 9 months. It feels like it's been 9 years.
I know.
But there's still a lot to be heard, and learn.
There's a lot to be heard, a lot to absorb. But, the big thing is with the 3 companies coming out with the vaccines, such as Pfizer, people are talking about having vaccines before the end of the year. That's great. But, the most vaccines I've heard quoted that could be available are 20 million. We need many, many tens of millions more than that. Then you have the amount of people that don't even vaccine their children to begin with, don't believe in vaccines, that probably won't get the vaccine, and however, who will get the vaccine. But the positive side is we're talking about the dark side. Let's talk about the light at the end of the tunnel. What I'm hearing now from the Faucis of this world and everything else is that if everything goes according to safety and protocol and these vaccines work, as hopefully they do and hopefully will, to the level that they do, is we could be back to a form of normalcy come May of next year. That's promising. And that's what I hope happens.
I think that's really optimistic. I'm sorry if people were watching the feed and saw my face a moment ago. I had a weird reaction. This Citizen app is crazy.
Buddy.
I just got a notification that 400 feet away from me right now, there's a child locked in a car. What?
Or once you were blind, now you can see.
TJ, just leave the studio and go let that kid out. Smash that window.
400 feet away is like a home run. You know what I mean? That's not very far.
That is what it is. Well, anyway, while you're doing that, do me a favor, check Playa del Rey and tell me that where my friends live. Tell me the level of cases there. Let's go on to some other stuff here.
Gary, you've ruined my life. This is terrifying.
All right, who do you know? Let me put it this way: would you want to fly during the holidays right now with the massive amounts of people going in the airports?
I'm flying. I flew last Friday. I'm flying to Mexico this week.
Didn't my question? That's work. Do you want to?
I flew last Friday. I'm flying this week.
Do you look forward to it? Does it bother you that you're flying during the holiday traffic?
Bruce, I flew last Friday, and I'm flying.
Answer the question. I know you're flying, but does it bother
you? Bruce, you're never going to hear him say he doesn't want to do his job.
Okay.
Bruce is not very good at trying to pick up subtleties, is he? Come on.
No, actually, I'm quite real. I was just looking for an answer, but that's cool.
I flew last Friday, and I'm flying this week.
Well, I think you guys. Well, good luck on that.
Smiling.
I think you guys would like this. You know, New York has had a couple of instances here. This is somewhat funny and somewhat not funny. They've actually busted an illegal fight club called Dumb.
I heard about this.
It's called Rumble in the Bronx.
Yeah. First off, copyright infringement as well. Not only are you running illegal fights, but Jackie Chan's going to come beat your ass.
Exactly. Well, you know what, Jack? Bring up a little thing. I'm the one that had to go after Rumble in the Bronx when it came out because I think I told this story many, many years ago.
Yeah. Now you got the brothers buffer on you too.
No, I have no violation claim here, nor would I even do
Not yet. Give it a minute.
At Rumble in the Bronx, when the movie was released, I was eating breakfast. I opened up the LA Times, and on 6 pages, each page was 2 ads saying, get ready to rumble with Jackie Chan. Didn't even mention the name of the movie. It was the pre-publicity for the film.
Right.
And this is one of the first major lawsuits that I filed against the studio. And we actually had to go file the lawsuit against them. And I think it was Warner Brothers, not mistaken, who I eventually made the movie after I went through the lawsuit with them and came out, on top in our favor. And then we went ahead and made the movie Ready to Rumble with them about a year later. Interesting how business works, isn't it? So let's get back to the story. They busted an illegal fight club. This is in the Bronx. Again, it's a gathering. There were 200 plus people in violation of emergency orders, illegal combat, no liquor license, loaded firearms, multiple crimes, that they went ahead and went against the organizers with. And of course, they're all going to have to pay some pretty big money. Now, that's the first story. Get the second story, okay? They busted a swingers club. They went in and busted a swingers club, had people all around, no masks, multiple beds in the room, paying money to have sex in the rooms, renting the rooms for a half hour, longer than that, illegal booze, illegal that, illegal whatever, $30 for 10 minutes. Here's the room, VIP room available. $30, 10 minutes, $50, 20 minutes, $60, half hour, $75, 40 minutes, $90, 50 minutes, $100 for 1 hour, $500 for an all-night session. And the room has like 3 beds in it where multiple couples would go in, do their thing, have their swinging. And they got busted. The people got hit with a total of like $16,000 in fines, violating emergency measures. And now they're going to get dinged because they're serving booze and everything else. So they're busting these private clubs like crazy.
Getting back to the underground fight club.
Oh, man, I was hot on the swingers club. I wanted you to talk about that.
I at least want to check it out.
Getting back to the underground fight club story, Bruce, like I used to not before, be pro, things like that in the state of New York, but I do know of things that went on in that area because mixed martial arts wasn't legal. So you would have some unregulated, sort of under the radar types of situations. But now at this point, there's no excuse for things like that. And in the midst of a pandemic, what are you doing, guys? Like, I don't know.
Making money, trying to make money. In the case of
at what cost, though? Like, I don't know.
I'm not a swinger. Maybe there's a huge temptation you can't wait 8 months to fulfill. I don't know.
Again, we're not talking about the swinging club. We're talking about the fight club.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah.
I still want to get back to the swing club. Where's Sammy when we need her? All right, that's one thing. Gary, you'll be happy to know that video games are being proven for kids to be really great for well-being. We hear all these negatives, but as far as the endorphin release that can help, especially during pandemic times, they're claiming that there is, and this is an Oxford study, that they're good for well-being for the kids. And we've also heard another study I mentioned a couple of weeks ago about how it can actually improve brain brain power and the way your brain works, whatever level that
Well,
is.
I think gaming has always been good as far as like hand-eye coordination goes, especially as far as like team building. If you're playing massive multiplayer and you're part of like some kind of a group, some kind of a clan, and you guys are, learning the maps, you've become a
Right.
team and you're able to execute moves together. That's really great as far as development goes. I mean, for my kid, I think that it's kind of like half gaming, half YouTube. So he loves watching other people play games on YouTube. I mean,
That's crazy.
That is the joy that these kids have. I think even more than the gaming itself.
My boys like it too. They like watching other people play. Yeah.
So what we've done is I'm not taking that away. I like it better when he's playing Roblox with his friends and they're going into, their own server and they're able to get a game going. I like that because they're getting good technical abilities there.
Right.
With YouTube, so I'd much rather him gaming than on YouTube, because YouTube, I feel like he's just consuming an influencer's content and not really getting anything out of it. But I don't want to take it away. So
Gotcha.
what we've done is, Mason, as you know, he wants to be an engineer. He wants to be the first boxer engineer. So what we've done now is we're allocating 30 minutes a night to watching how to be an engineer videos. And so where we've gotten so far is we now know what kind of engineer he wants to be. And we're now moving forward as far as design engineering goes, and taking next steps there. And
how cool is that?
Even,
cool.
We do try and, get our kid to do more analog activities. And there's times where we do have to force that. We also want to make sure that we're participating in his world, and that's not something that he wouldn't want us to be a part of, right? We're there to support. We're there to make sure that boundaries are always there, but we never want our kid to regret us being there or us knowing about, YouTube and things like that. So that's just part of now what we're doing he can do YouTube, but some of it does now have to be educational.
Well, speaking about YouTube, for those listening to the show, and we have a very large listening base on the audio sites like iTunes and such, where people are listening to It's Time Radio. But also, I want to remind everybody, if you're listening, again, go to our YouTube page, subscribe to YouTube, watch the show on video. I have to grab that opening while we have it, while we're talking about YouTube. Because on that page, when it gets to a certain level, we're going to have some really fantastic giveaways on the show. But I can't do that until we get up to at least 5,000 subscribers or more. But I promise you that there'll be some very cool, if not expensive, giveaways. So subscribe. If you're listening to us right now on iTunes or elsewhere, Spreaker, wherever it might be, get on YouTube, subscribe, hit that button and subscribe. That's all I can tell you. We'll have some great stuff for you in the future. Let's go over to UFC 255. I was talking about the Deiveson-Figueiredo match against Alex Perez, who took in for Cody Garbrandt. Figueiredo finished the fight in less than 2 minutes, reigning champion. Then there was a hell of a fight between Brandon Moreno and Brandon Royval. Brandon Moreno, a #1 contender at flyweight, and immediately he's not even leaving Vegas and go home. Dana White and the powers that be, along with Dana, have given him now a chance to be the challenger for the flyweight title. He's going to stay in Vegas. He's going to fight Deiveson-Figueiredo on December 12th for the title. Very interesting. Very nice turnaround for Brandon. Also on the card, guys, let's face it. I know Amanda Nunes is amazing. We know that. She's incredible. She's the most amazing fighter I've ever seen. I got to give the kudos. That was a heck of a fight between Maya and Valentina Shevchenko, showing Valentina not just the amazing striker, the kicker that she is, the Muay Thai fighter that she is, but her ability to handle a fantastic jiu-jitsu fighter in Jennifer Maya on the ground. This showed me a whole nother side of Valentina Shevchenko.
It's pick your poison, right, Bruce?
Yeah.
I like poison. There's no real weakness that you can try to attack with this woman. I mean, she's definitely dominating with the best of the most dominant women.
There was some exposure, guys.
Yes.
Hey, listen. She showed if you can clinch her and control her on the cage. I listen, TJ, I get it, but
we're talking about a round.
Yeah, a round.
We are talking about a round. But she was stuck.
Sure, I get that. I get that. But I mean, this is actually a testament to how good she is. That we're focusing in on one dropped round as something that maybe her competition can sort of hone in on and try to, exploit later down the road.
She's
But
lost multiple rounds to Amanda Nunes.
no, I understand that, but we're talking at 125. We're talking about one round that she's dropped as maybe the next thing that up and coming fighters can try to exploit. Which Lauren Murphy might be able to try to do that,
but they will. Or who did they say is next for her? Andrade.
Andrade
no. Is Andrade in line or Lauren Murphy?
Be next.
I believe it's Lauren Murphy. I've heard that it's
Lauren Murphy. Yeah,
right.
I've heard Andrade too, but I think Lauren Murphy is going to get the nod.
Andrade is higher in the rankings right now, but I don't know if it's official, but I've heard the name Lauren Murphy kicked around higher in the hierarchy, if you will.
I'd be totally happy with either one.
Have you ever taken a look at Bullet's Instagram?
Yeah, no. As a matter of fact, she answered me. I praised her on my Instagram post, and she wrote me back, and I just started following her. Boy, she posts a lot.
She's like the deadliest woman alive.
She's incredible.
She's like the absolute deadliest woman alive, man.
You know what I love watching, Gary? I love watching her training sessions when she trains.
She's a beast.
She is a beast. She's an incredible beast. She's awesome and fun to watch. So that was a heck of a go. The two flyweight champions retaining their titles. Kudos and congratulations to them. Mike Perry and Tim Means going at it all together. Tim Means coming out on top in that fight. Caitlin Chukagian coming up with Cynthia Cavallo. Caitlin proving to be a very strong flyweight contender. Again, I think she's going to get a nod for a championship challenging bout again in her career. And then Shogun Hu and Paul Craig coming out. Another instance where I had to step between the two fighters, but I wasn't that worried about Paul Craig. He was going to stand his ground, but he did get a little close. So I had to get in front of him to prevent the little too close where the commission would step in. Guys, I don't like saying this. Shogun is a friend. I've watched him fight for, God, I think he's been in the game almost as long as I've been announcing. It's unbelievable. Dana White said that he thinks he should retire. I heard a quote, if that was correct, that Dana mentioned. What is your opinion, TJ? Gary, Shogun Hua?
Yeah, again, I'm not retiring people. That's not my job.
I don't want to. But
he's a legend. I thought it would have been fitting for him to go out and retire after his last fight with Little Nogueira. But, he had this fight with Paul Craig. Unfortunately, I have a real hard time seeing legends like Shogun Hua tap to strikes.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. And I'm a firm believer that Shogun losing his last fight the way that he did, it doesn't tarnish his legacy in my book. That's not the way it normally works, though, with casual fans. Yeah. And I would hate to see him do anything to hurt his legacy because he truly is one of the best fighters we've seen in MMA at 205 pounds.
Without a doubt. And a big fan. I mean, listen, he's a hero in Brazil. He's in the UFC Hall of Fame. I mean, how many fighters do I announce that are already in the UFC Hall of Fame? I mean, I think Randy Couture was one. Shogun Hu is the other. I don't know. I'm escaping me. Maybe BJ Penn was in the Hall of Fame.
Shogun's in the Hall of Fame?
They had me announce him as a UFC Hall of Famer.
I think
do a Google real quick while we're talking. If you
he might have a fight in the Hall of Fame, but
maybe there's a fight in the Hall of Fame. Well, then you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but not really.
You're not a Hall of Famer as far as yourself, but you're in a fight that's in the Hall of Fame, so you are a Hall of Famer. If you're in the Hall of Fame, you're a Hall of Famer.
Technicalities.
And Paul Craig coming off a 4 or 5 fight winning streak, very strong grappler, very, very cool Scottish man. Very, very cool. I like Paul a lot. Antonina Shevchenko against Ariane Lipski. These Shevchenko sisters are beasts. She is definitely a heck of an upcoming fighter, ranked 15th. Probably the ranking is going to go down from there. It's amazing to see two sisters on the same card when you think about it. I know that's happened before to, I think, two brothers one time. I forget. Oh, with the Pettis brothers were on the same card. But the one that really stood out amongst all the other standouts the other evening is Joaquin Buckley. This man's a beast.
Yeah, and especially to follow up that original knockout. Right? Yeah. I mean, I was actually worried for his quick turnaround, Bruce, because he's coming off what I think is the knockout of the year. You're almost in a bad situation to try to follow up a performance like that ever. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree with you. Let me tell you, this man's intense. When he walked in, I'll talk to the fighters after they fight, even before I announce the decision or whatever. Some fighters, a lot of fighters are different. They're all intense because they're fighters with respect to all of being fighters. But this guy is intense. This guy walks in there. He's got the shark eyes from the moment he's in there. Even after I make him, even if I announce him as the winner, he's still got shark eyes. This is a very intense fighter.
When we are done, I can't show the video on the air. We get in trouble for it. But when we're done with the show, I want to show you guys an athlete from Invicta named Hope Chase, who is the most intense person I've ever seen in mixed martial arts. And if people are pro wrestling fans, she is the human embodiment of the ultimate warrior. She's terrifying, and people need to check her out. She fought over the weekend in Invicta. But when we get off the air, guys, just stick around because I need to show you her fight. It's crazy.
Right, cool. No, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that too. All right. Well, that's UFC 255. Then we've got the show coming up this weekend. I will not be in Vegas announcing the show UFC Fight Night this weekend. I will be back for December 5th and December 12th pay-per-view, and I'm looking forward to that. Of course, I want to enjoy a nice Thanksgiving holiday weekend.
When are you just going to get the condo in Vegas already, Buff?
I owned a house in Vegas when I was announcing. I never saw it. I rented it out, and I wound up getting rid of it about 10 years ago. I should have kept it. But honestly, I don't want a condo. I like
buy a house then, Bruce. The time is now. Now's the time to buy a house. You get used out of it.
I tell you right now, Henderson, Nevada is so. This was a long time ago. I was talking to Mike Tyson, who had a spot there, or one of his wives had a spot there. But the whole point was, you had all these homes that were built before the fall of the real estate market back in 08.
Mm-hmm.
So all these people bought all these houses. They're vacation homes.
Yeah.
So when you can buy a house for, I don't know, maybe 30 cents on the dollar from what they went for in gated communities.
Yep.
Where like most people are only there a couple of months out of the year.
Yeah, there was a time where I think the stat was there were like over 30 homes for each potential buyer in the city of Las Vegas.
Let me tell you what that meant.
It's
When I bought my house, I bought it for, this is some 15 years ago. I paid like $279,000 for it. Then the recession hit, the value went down to like 160. So I didn't like the negative layout I was dealing with. So I offed the house. I got out of the tax liability. Everything was done perfectly legal. I wish I would have kept it. As I always say with real estate, never sell real estate unless you have to, because now it's worth like, 400 and change or whatever, which is great. But here's the thing to your question. And I mentioned this before on the show. I go to Vegas. I do a show. Right now we're in a bubble. So I can't even stay at my house. I have to stay at where they put me up because I'm tested and quarantined until further notice, which is obviously shows are going to be in Vegas or Abu Dhabi, if elsewhere, for at least for another 8 to 12 months. So there's no thought in my mind to buy a house. But at the same time, and I can make those kind of investments elsewhere, but at the same time, I love hotels. I love room service. I love having my poker room downstairs when I can play poker again. I love having a blackjack table nearby. I don't want to I have a home here that I love. I don't want to have a home in Vegas. It's just not my cup of tea. I like hotels. I like room service. I like pay-per-view movies. So it's all good. I'm happy.
I do, TJ. You can come Airbnb through me when you're ready to go and have nice weekends with the family.
Let's go.
All right, let's get on to one of the main things that we want to talk about on the show. This is why we brought on Gary Randall, the boxing aficionado. I don't know anybody that knows boxing. I know a few people that know better than you, Gary, but I don't know if it's better than you because you're such a encyclopedia and incredible. Probably the only one who could be better than you is Mike Tyson, who's an amazing walking boxing encyclopedia, if not my brother Michael. But speaking of Mike Tyson, you brought it up. Let's talk about it. Next Saturday at Staples is Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. This is a boxing match that's going to be 8 2-minute rounds. That was originally scheduled to be an exhibition. It was originally, and I've heard even on the inside that we're told not to hit each other hard and give an exhibition. But I don't know if Mike Tyson knows how to not hit somebody hard. I don't see that as happening. Gary, I can give my opinion on this. I'd rather you give your opinion on it. This is with the commission overlooking the thing. Do you see this as being a full-on, they're going to give it their all for 8 2-minute rounds? And I'll give you my opinion after you. How do you feel about this?
Well, okay. I mean, number one, both guys know how to spar. Okay? Both guys know how to spar. Both guys, I do not think it is part of the premise or the plan for either guy as far as seek and destroy goes. Okay? However, this can go any way once the bell rings. Okay? Once the first person gets hit, what's Mike Tyson's most famous quote? Everyone's got a plan until they get hit. So that's just a part of who he is. It's part of the fabric of his fighting style. I don't see him like pulling back on Roy. I think the second he feels something, he's going to give, and vice versa.
The rules of sparring.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they could end up going to war. It could end up being. This could literally end up being. I mean, you got to remember, these guys are old. They're not going to have like much turbo boost in later rounds in this fight. But the first 2 rounds of this could be Hagler Hearns. I mean, that's an absolute possibility on a much slower, slow motion heavyweight level. But can a fight like this actually bring excitement? I do think it can. Personally,
Yeah,
I love these guys. I was a part of their actual careers. So I was lucky enough to be able to appreciate these guys in their primes. I don't want to see either guy get hurt, but at the same time, hey, these guys are fighters, man. They don't know anything else. Okay, they're stuck in their 50s. They're now like 10 years removed from their fights. I know Roy's had some kind of circus one-off fights. I'm not going to include those. But those guys haven't,
I called his last fight. You have to include it.
Okay.
It was a professional fight. You got to give it to him. You got to give it to him.
So, but these guys competing on a level where they would actually face each other is we're so far past that. So I just don't want to see guy get cut and hurt or concussed. Or I mean, listen, if Mike's going to end up obliterating, a lot of people think he's going to obliterate Roy Jones, much too small for that. Would actually be kind of sad to see in a way, right? Like
in a way,
I want to see it. Here's what I want to see. I want to see Mike in 1987. But the problem is that's not here anymore. But you know what? These guys made such an impact on the sport that they can sell pay-per-views and they can get in the ring and do whatever it is they're going to do on Saturday. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to support it. They gave me a lot, so I'm just basically looking at it like I'm giving back in a way. But personally, this should be a platform for the undercard. If the undercard, this should be a platform for those guys to shine, for them to get some TV time, build up a fan base. And if they can take that and they can make this like senior circuit kind of deliver on these up and coming fighters and give them this platform that has a lot more eyeballs, then you know what? Go for it.
Well, let's talk about the card.
Well,
go ahead.
Real quick. Let me just ask this because it's an exhibition, as you mentioned, Bruce. It's happening in the state of California.
Right.
Andy Foster is overseeing it. He's been very specific about what this is and what this isn't. What if it becomes something that it's not supposed to be, Gary? Do you see Andy Foster going, look, guys, you need to calm this mess down right now? Would he intervene and step in?
Before you answer that, Gary, let me tell you one thing that Mark Ratner told me. And by the way, congratulations to Mark Ratner. He was inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. Yeah, totally, completely deserving. We wouldn't be where we are without Mark Ratner, as well as Dana White and other powers that be. But he mentioned to me that some exhibition, basically, because once they start hitting hard, exhibition's out the window. It's not an exhibition anymore. It's a pro fight. So what Gary said earlier, if it goes to that tempo, which I believe it will, because let's face it, Mike Tyson in his heyday, if he fought a true boxer like Roy Jones Jr., he was taken into later rounds. Mike was used to taking people out within 2 or 3 rounds, if 3. Okay, but once it went past that, it's almost like, oh, what kind of boxing match am I in now? Well, you're in a boxing match. So I could see Mike coming out hard in the first couple rounds, feeling each other out in the first round, and either ending it quick. But if it goes to the later rounds, I'm going to give the edge to Roy Jones Jr. on boxing judges watching this fight. And on the main card, yes, it's Tyson and Jones Jr. They're calling it. Get this, the WBC's involved. Okay, they're calling it a.
Hang on, Bruce, you're getting away from my question. You're not answering my question.
Which was?
Will Andy Foster shut it down if it becomes something that he explicitly said it's not supposed to be?
I will say no, because 8 rounds, keeping an exhibition fight. The commission's there. They've gone through their testing. They've weighed in. They've done everything they're supposed to do under normal professional circumstances. If this is just my opinion, if this tempo goes up to where they're actually slamming each other and fighting like pros and really putting in a good 8-round, 2-minute bout, no. I just think that's the tempo they decided to go to. Let the fight go. It either ends in a knockout.
But they're not licensing him for that.
So they're licensing him, you're saying. why is the WBC stepping in? And I don't know the answer to this.
This is why I asked Gary.
Why, Gary? Let's ask you. Why is the WBC stepping in and calling it the WBC Frontline Championship? Okay, they're fighting for
Because
the
they're
WBC
starting-
Frontline
Because
Championship,
they're trying to start a league.
and that's why Evander
They're trying to
Holyfield
start
says
a
he wants.
circuit. They're trying to start a
Are they trying to start
circuit.
trying to start a circus or a circuit?
No, a circuit.
Okay.
They're trying to start a senior circuit. And so Mike and Roy are kind of sacrificing themselves to get it started. Don't forget, this exhibition, Apollo Creed, Ivan Drago was supposed to be an exhibition, but this exhibition has no headgear.
Yes, right, exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
they're wearing 12-ounce gloves. Sparring
Yes,
is
they are.
14-ounce gloves.
That's right.
So
That's right.
these are bigger gloves than they would wear if they were in like a regular heavyweight pro fight. I think they'd be wearing 10 ounce. So they're wearing the extra 2 ounces, but they're not wearing sparring gloves, which are 14 ounce and 16.
Okay, so now, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So
please.
now let's take it a step further. Exhibition bouts. Well, of course you can bet on anything, but let me just tell you what the odds makers are giving. it.
Hang
Okay,
on. You're getting no one's going to answer my question.
I answered your question.
No,
They're not
you
going to
didn't.
stop it. I said they're not going to stop it.
What
But
I was
again,
getting
I was
to,
asking
TJ,
Gary. I want to know Gary's.
What I was getting to, TJ, was because there's no headgear, because it's 12-ounce gloves, I do believe the commission has a fundamental understanding of what they've signed up for here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm sure that they have had talks with the fighters. But if
What if
someone
there's a
gets cut
knockdown?
in the first, okay, if someone gets cut, screw a knockdown. If someone gets cut in the first round, okay, do I
Mhm.
think they're going to stop it? I don't. I
No.
absolutely don't. If someone gets knocked down in the first round and it's a flash knockdown, in other words, they're not hurt, he didn't get crushed, I think they'll let it continue. If you see
Agreed.
like someone like Roy take a massive left hook, he gets rocked, and like it's obvious that I think, yeah, you'll see like a Razor Ruddock 1 type of stoppage where even if he's wobbly, they're just going to call it. They're not going to let him go down and take some kind of horrific beating or anything like that. So I think that there's levels to where they will insert themselves, but I don't think it's going to be like at the first sign of a real fight breaking out. I
Right.
think something's going to happen.
And I
So
agree because Go ahead.
There is a champion, or there is a winner. There's going to be a winner in this.
yes, they're fighting for the WBC
Okay, no,
Frontline
that's fine, that's
Championship.
fine.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to
They
establish
will
numbers.
they will be declaring a winner, which means they will be scoring rounds.
Yeah.
So-
So then this is definitely a fight. I don't
No
care
question.
if it's a. Yeah. No, it's definitely a fight.
Think about the potential circus outlook.
Let me confirm that they're going to be scoring rounds.
I mean, because if they're not scoring rounds, then I think that it might be different. But if they're scoring rounds, neither Mike nor Roy will want to lose.
Exactly.
No
And a
official
fight's
scoring.
going-
No
no
official
official scoring?
or winner as for MMA
Got it.
Junkie.
That's
That is-
what that's what I thought. And then
That-
this is going to be way different. This is going to be very laid back and relaxed.
Well,
So
if it-
they can't crown a champion then if there's no winner.
For some reason, the WC stepped in and they're calling it this.
Well, how are they going to crown a winner
I-
if both of them get their hands raised?
Listen, if you ask me my opinion of a lot of decisions and things that have happened in boxing, I'll give you the same answer. I don't friggin' know.
The WBC has crowned a lot of winners.
Yeah, they crowned a lot of winners.
over their time.
Remember, I come from
I
the
don't know
days where
about
the,
the son. The son is really cool, and Dad was really a nice guy too. I met him multiple times. I'm just kind of going off of some.
All right, so let me
info.
give you a few tidbits here for those listening to learn more about the event if you want to watch it on Saturday. And remember one thing: people say, "Well, Roy Jones was champion at a lighter weight, not heavyweight, but he did beat John Ruiz, who did beat Mike Tyson." Okay, so in essence,
John
he
Ruiz
has
never fought Mike Tyson.
excuse me. I'm sorry.
He beat
what-
John Ruiz and Evander Holyfield.
Evander Holyfield. Pardon me. Excuse me. Correct. Thank you. That's why we have you on the show, Gary. Keep me straight. Okay. So with this, there's going to be the main card is also going to have Logan Paul's brother, Jake Paul, fighting Nate Robinson at cruiserweight for 6 rounds. These other ones I'm not that familiar with, Badou Jack and Blake McKenna, light heavyweights, 8 rounds. Vidal Riley, Rashad Coulter, cruiserweight, 6 rounds. There's a 3-round preliminary card. Here's the odds. And also, this is a 4-hour show. And I signed Michael to announce the main event only between Jones and Tyson. Mike will be going down, being COVID tested the whole bit. There's not going to be any fans, any audience. I am not going to go to Staples Saturday, which I easily could because I won't be able to be down by the ring watching the fight, so there's no reason to go. I'll watch in the privacy of mine or a friend's home as we'll watch it. If you want to get the pay-per-view, you have to go to the live stream, which is Tyson on Thriller.com, or go to Fight TV.
Triller. Not Thriller.
Oh, Triller. Excuse me. Boy, that gives me, just like I got it wrong. People are going to get the wrong.
We'll
Tyson
make sure we
Triller.
put a link in the bio. We'll put a link in the bio, guys.
Tyson on Triller.com.
It's also available on Fight TV and traditional pay-per-view outlets as well.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
Fight.tv.
Fight TV. It's $49.99. It starts at 7 o'clock. Is the main card here as usual. Now, Mike Tyson on the odds makers is -220. Roy Jones Jr. is +170.
How do you offer odds if there's no winner?
It's betting. They bet on who wins the election in a state.
But there's a winner in an election in a state. There's no winner in this.
Well, okay. Well, wait a second. So
you, the viewer, are the winner, TJ.
Yeah, but how do you take it? But okay, so you bet a draw. Bet a draw. It's a sure bet.
Do you know what the draw is? +1,200. You get $1,200
There's no
on
winner,
$100.
so that's easy money. Bet it.
It depends how the bookies look at it. If you bet on the president of the
You're
United States,
absolutely right, TJ. No,
you are correct.
No, right.
But
There's
like
no clarity here.
Right, Bruce, you're trying to say that the bookies get to determine. No, there's no winner. They've already said there's no winner. Go bet it.
It's official.
I'm listening to both of you. I'm with you both. So everybody rock out there and bet $50 and win 600. Bet 10 and win 120.
I'm going online right now to place a wager.
I'm betting 10,000 right now.
At +1,200, it's going to hit.
Don't, TJ. He's really going to do it, man. Bruce, don't do that. Wait till we learn. Let's gather some intel. By the way, big shout out to Keith Evans, Fight.tv.
Gary, you know me too well. Okay, I'll bet it if I don't announce it. Let's put it that way. By the way, it's going to have other things too. They're going to have, if I'm not mistaken, like hip hop and music and the whole bit. They're going to make a big show out of this, to whatever level it is. So let's wish them luck. Let's hope it's a fun show. Let's please hope nobody gets hurt, and that it's entertaining, to say the least. What can I say?
What I don't like is that those that only know Mike Tyson from social media and his hot boxing with Mike Tyson.
Right.
They're not, what us fans are we're looking for nostalgia. And that's where I feel like this is where I feel bad for the fighters, is because we're expecting them to look as they did in the 90s or even the 80s. And that's just not who these guys are anymore. And that's, I foresee maybe a lot of people going online and talking shit and maybe saying Mike Tyson was never that good, or Roy Jones was never that good, or, this is their experience with those guys is at 50 plus, it's just a whole different thing. And then guys like us, I pretty much know what to expect. But I'm going to support it because I know that, no matter what boxing pundits say, this is all these guys do, man. That's all they know. This is what they do. They fight, and they've done it
exactly.
At such a high level.
Exactly.
That it's that's so unreachable to so many in the world that I'm sure they're going to be craving that until the day they die, or reliving it until the day they die.
I have information for you guys. You ready? I got some information here. All right, here we go. The California State Athletic Commission Executive Andy Foster. Okay, he's declared the bout will be stopped if there's a cut. He said the bout will be stopped. He said both fighters will not be allowed to go for the knockout. I don't know what the heck that means. That's a gray area to me. He wants the fight to look like heavy sparring in the heat of battle. Try telling that to Mike Tyson.
How old is that quote, Bruce? How old is that quote?
2 hours. This is when the article was published. Both fighters have publicly declared time.
Okay, because that quote's from a lot longer ago. A lot longer.
All right, it could be.
That quote's from 6 months ago.
All right,
yeah, that quote's from a long time ago.
Wait. Hear this part. Yes, there will be, as you said earlier, Gary, there'll be no official judges, but WBC Frontline, for the Frontline title, has appointed 3 ex-fighters, I don't know who they are, to determine an unofficial winner. So I don't know if that's what's going to determine the winner.
Unofficial.
+1,200 for a draw sounds really great.
Yep. And
unofficial is unofficial.
Who's got the most pressure on him in this? Ray Corona is going to be the referee. I think the referee's got the most pressure on him to see how he deals with this fight. how he handles this when they go at each other.
Especially when Mike Tyson's in there. You're a target when you're the referee.
All I know is I told you before, every time Mike sees me and hugs me, he headbutts me, and I practically knocked me out one time. Gary, you and I were there. We went to his show, and we saw him after the show. I said, Gary, he almost friggin' just knocked me out.
Hey, at least you have both your ears.
I love Mike.
He really
I love
did.
Mike.
He went and he kind of bear hugged Bruce, and he kind of just, juggernauted him on the way in. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
minus
cool.
100,000 on if Tyson will bite Roy Jones's ear. No, minus 100,000.
Minus? You mean plus?
No,
minus. You got to bet 100,000
to win $100 because he's not going to bite Roy Jones's ear.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I got you. That's ridiculous.
Easiest money in the world.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to watch it. You're going to watch it. We're all going to watch it that are fight fans at some point, whether it's post or whatever. So let's go on to some other stuff. Congratulations to Mike. Congratulations to Roy. I know them both. Like them both. Make the money, boys. Make the money. Evander Holyfield sitting in the wings. Can't wait to be the next one to take on the title. Let's see where this goes. One last question, Gary. Do you see this as a sample of the state of boxing, that we have to have boxing like this with almost elderly fighters fighting in the ring?
No. I think boxing has been surging for about the past 18 months. The comeback of the heavyweight division has been a really good adrenaline shot for boxing, and I think boxing is finally taking that momentum and running with it. Namely, the new star Teofimo Lopez. This guy has reignited like 3 different weight divisions just by beating Vasily Lomachenko. So now you have, I think, more Tyson and Roy and the people that are involved in this event are seeing what's happening in boxing and maybe capitalizing off of that by kind of like getting this pay-per-view in there, because you have Canelo's going to be fighting next month. So it all kind of plays into each other. And I think the whole sport is kind of realizing a little bit of a lift right now, maybe figuring out their place in the world. I think boxing has gotten to a place where they're kind of following suit on the UFC. They looked at what the UFC is doing, and they're kind of trying to follow suit and see what they can do.
Good answer. Agreed fully. Listen, before we sign off, I want to switch gears here a little bit. I want to go to a story, which is a feel-good story at the same time, but it's a question of, I don't know if it's a term as morality or what's right to do, what's right or wrong, but I'm asking you guys the question as I tell you the story. And I'm going to start it off by, what would you do? Okay, a South Carolina couple, they just bought a brand new home. They settled into their new home, gone through escrow, the previous people moved out, the whole bit. As they're going through their new home, they found some built-in drawers in a closet, right? They found 2 cases in those drawers holding 46 Gold Liberty $5 coins and 18 Morgan Silver dollar coins that were made in the 1800s. The value of these coins was $25,000, okay? Nice sum of money. Question. I'll tell you what they did after you answer the question. Would you, as that homeowner moving into the house, you found those coins, knowing who owned them, would you give them back or would you keep them?
I'd ask them if they left anything.
Okay, which means that you would if you get an answer that no, they didn't. Okay, Gary?
So if they said no, they didn't leave anything, and I'm guessing these are things that you would know whether or not you left behind, no, I won't give it back.
If they called you 2 weeks later and said, by the way, we forgot, we left gold coins in the house.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be going to the media and telling anybody that I found these gold coins either. I would call and ask them if they left anything in the house, and if they said no, then no.
And if they called you back 2 weeks later and said, by the way, we forgot, we left our gold coins, we realized we left them, would you give them back at that point?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Gary?
I would immediately notify them that they left the gold coins. But
what if they didn't know that?
I'm afraid of bad juju. Of bad juju.
So you would tell them, hey, I think you left these gold coins. But what if they didn't know? What if they're not theirs? What if they were just there and they didn't know they were there? You would give them to them?
I understand that, but I would have to. I would be morally obligated to be like, hey guys, we just found like these crazy coins in the attic. Do you know what this is? You know what I mean? And then the morality is on their side, man. If they want to lie and whatever, then that's on them. I can't.
All right.
You want my answer?
Yeah, Gary's a better person than I am.
Do you want my answer?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand your answer, TJ, and I'm not saying it's a wrong answer by any standards because you're giving me the chance. I'll go with Gary. I would actually call them up and say, hey, I found something in the house, And if you can describe what you left.
No,
That's literally what I just said.
TJ.
You're agreeing with me, Bruce. You're not agreeing with Gary. You're just as
Unbelievable,
terrible
man.
of a person as I am.
Well, that's what I would do. But I would give him a good description. I'd say, listen, I found something in the house. It involved gold. If you can please describe it, I'll
Oh,
have
of
it back to you
course.
tomorrow.
Yeah. You mean there's gold in the house? Yep,
What is
that's
it?
mine.
What is it? Tell me what it is.
It's gold, Bruce. That's none of your business. You've described it.
My business. I'm staring at it.
As
Tell
a
me what
matter
it
of
is.
fact, I'm calling the police. You've stolen my gold.
Go ahead, Bruce.
No, I was going to say I'm so big on karma. I would have a hard time keeping him. I'd have to make the phone call, let him know that I found him. Period. That's it.
I'd like to make one more plug before we call it. There's a really good one-on-one fight happening like 3 times a week. It's a poker heads-up match. If any of you guys, follow Bruce, he's a diehard poker player. He's got a guy that he's known for a long time named Daniel Negreanu, great poker player,
great,
one of the greatest ever.
Great.
He's in a big heads-up match for over $1 million with a guy named Doug Polk, who kind of called out Daniel. And this has been a bit of a grudge match for about 3-4 years, going back and forth. And now these guys are playing you can watch their matches. They're playing on WSOP.com, but you can watch their matches on many YouTube streams, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And, one of the things that is happening here is this is a new type of event where poker players are going heads up against each other. And then you have these young commentators that are commentating the action. We're not able to see the whole cards because these are live streams. So they have to fill in that amount of time. And, just as once TJ was one of the new generational voices years and years ago, I remember him coming up. You're seeing a lot of these new, younger, in their early 20s generation coming up and commentating on this event. If you're into 2 people that are really trying to take each other's money, tune into this. You will absolutely love it. I just wanted to recommend that. It poker transitions really well with UFC fans. So it's worth watching. You might like it.
Listen, if you're a poker fan, how can you not want to watch Daniel Negreanu? I know you really get off and enjoy this, and I do it myself, so I do highly recommend it. And I'd say give it a view if you're definitely a poker fan. Very cool, Gary. Thank you. I appreciate that. But answer back to the coin story, though, so the homeowners gave it back. They gave it back right away. They're obviously better than we are.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, is it clear in the story whether or not the original homeowners knew that they were their coins?
What the new owner did is he texted pictures of the coins to the former owner and made arrangements to return them.
TJ, do you see the worst in people? Do you see the worst in people?
Do I see the worst in people?
Yeah.
I like seeing the best.
Yeah, I mean, I see the best in people, but I also know that people are terrible. So
yes.
We'll call them A, we'll call them B.
Here, TJ, this is, to me, TJ in a nutshell. And it's an old quote, I think, from Amarillo Slim.
Classic.
Trust everyone, but always cut the cards.
Love that. And the other one from The Godfather, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. There you go. It works. Those are 2 very, very good adages.
The one with poker is the one I think.
Poker's pretty cool. Hey, one last note. Michael Jordan's last piece of NBA memorabilia or NBA laundry, if you want to call it, his jersey from the final NBA game that he played for the Washington Wizards is going on auction. What do you think it's going to fetch?
I have no idea.
Gary? Guess?
$500,000.
Exactly. That's what they say.
Really?
$500,000. Yep.
Wow.
Exactly. $500,000.
I was going to take the under on that, but
since that Last Dance special with HBO, and I mentioned this like every week, I'm telling you about how the stuff is going up. The memorabilia on cards for basketball is gone through the roof.
Netflix, by the way.
No, it's completely watching, and I'm in episode 9 or 10.
No, that's who made it. You said HBO. It's Netflix.
Oh, Netflix. Pardon me. Great show. If you're into basketball, just you know what? Even if you're not into basketball, to realize what it takes to be a champion, as Michael Jordan is. And
I don't like basketball. I don't like basketball, and I love that series.
The series was amazing. It was just so good. Gary, take a second. Anything you want to share with us? Share with our audience before we sign off.
I did it, man. That's it. That's it. You know, I look forward to hearing comments on what people think of the Tyson Jones fight. We'll definitely put a link to like the Fight TV where you can purchase it in the bio. We'll put a link to the Heads Up Poker match that we were talking about in the bio. And thanks, Bruce and TJ, for letting me be on the show with you guys. I appreciate it.
Very cool, Gary. Always great to have you on, bro. And I'll see you soon for our own little poker matches, virtual and online. We don't play in person anymore. Can't. God, I can't believe I've not played a live poker game, much less other things I haven't done for 8 months. It's crazy.
Hey, I need to borrow all of the money that you guys have liquid to put on this draw at plus 1,200. We're going to be billionaires.
There's probably a limit to how much you can bet.
TJ, do what I did on Monday. I bought both Moderna and Pfizer stock.
Ah, smart.
There you go.
Moderna is the one that's crushing it.
And what about Neo? Did you see how Neo did today, Gary?
Bruce, listen, for anyone listening, we're not financial guys. We don't give financial advice or anything. Yeah, Bruce, you recommended a really good stock that's absolutely crushed it over the last week. So
NIO.
Appreciate
I
that.
made over 300% since I bought it like 4 months ago. It's incredible. NIO, guys. I'll tell everybody out there. NIO, check it out.
And you're betting it all on a draw, plus 1,200. Let's
go. Yeah, I'd like to see me collect on that one. There we go. All right. TJ, what's up?
Not much. I'm going to Mexico on Saturday. People want to check out a little combat jiu-jitsu. It's live from Cancun. You can watch it on UFC Fight Pass.
Very cool. Very cool. And everybody, I will not be in the Octagon on Saturday. Enjoy the show. Joe Martinez will be announcing the show. It looks like a hell of a show. I will be back on December 5th and December 12th. And then I will not be back until January because I am going to enjoy the holiday season, whatever that means these days in COVID-19. But I've got plenty of other things to do. We're finalizing the new It's Time cologne. Might be released before Christmas. I hope to have a sample to show you before the end of the year. And, of course, Puncher's Chance. Everybody out there, make sure you live life and always take your Puncher's Chance, which is selling like hot cakes. Thank God. Love it.
Do hot cakes sell anymore?
It's just a term. Come on.
I know.
Maybe I'm aging myself, but it is a term. All right. Here we go, guys. Have a great week. Gary, thanks again very, very much. Come pick me up in the Maybach. I want to go to dinner in a half hour. That'd be really nice if I could sit in the back seat. Appreciate it. And TJ, have a great week. All my best to both you guys, your family, your loved ones, Gary, Mason, Yen, Evie, everybody with you too, TJ. Happy Thanksgiving. You know, I know we live in a COVID environment. We're in this world pandemic war, which has changed all of our lives to a very large and small degrees, depending on what you do and where you live. But the bottom line is I still think there's a lot to be thankful for. And I want to wish a very happy Thanksgiving to you, your families and loved ones, and to all our listeners out there all around the world. Of course, we celebrate Thanksgiving here in the United States, but honestly, every day I wake up and I'm healthy, I give thanks. So I give thanks to everybody. I wish you all the best. I wish you a great week. Everybody set your goals, write them down, become an aficionado on them, know about them, have your information, have it in place. So when you step on that path, you perform, you be the best you can be, because that's what it's all about in life, baby. It's about being the best you can be. It's also about being number one when you can, but there's no harm in being number 2 or 3 as long as you were the best you could be. Even if you don't make the top 10, just be the best, and then you're winning. And that's what life is all about. So take a few thoughts, think about a few thoughts, give yourself praise, think about where to be thankful for where you are in this life. And on Thanksgiving, say something silent to yourself and be respectful to everybody around you and be a role model to your sphere of influence. Treat everybody with respect, practice your safety and protocol, and above all, enjoy yourselves. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Love you all.
Happy Thanksgiving.
That's it.
I'd keep half the coins. Does that make me a better person?
Wow.
Well, you could say that you just found half of them, but then you're lying and the karma comes back to you. Karma, baby. Karma.
All right.
Live life by karma. Tell the
Happy
truth.
Thanksgiving, guys.
I always tell the truth. Unless you play poker, I will lie through my teeth. I want all your chips. Bottom line, buffer out. See ya.